Running?
Yes. So let's call the meeting to order. And it's 6:32. Oh, let me turn my track changes off. We'll do a quick roll call. Aaron McKeon.
Jan Mitchell.
Amanda Leslie.
And Brenda, can you still hear us?
Brenda Williams.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. And Samantha's not here. Great. So we'll hand things over here to Lynn.
Great.
I think there may be a request from people present to maybe not spend as much time on the wheel. Don't shoot the messenger.
Well, I'm going to do a check-in. I think
yes, we
we'll,
should do a
we'll go around. We'll just say who we are. If I don't think I know everybody here, so just say who you are, how you're doing today, and then just share a quick celebration. So what's been going on that's good. So let's just share something positive, and then we'll get right into it. So who wants to start with that? Start.
My day's going well. I would say that I thought last week's meeting went really well. So that's a small celebration there. I thought it was productive and we made some good progress, and looking forward to just picking up where we left off.
Awesome. Thank you.
Jan Mitchell, I feel great.
Great. Any celebrations, Jan?
No.
No? Okay. Amanda.
Amanda Leslie, I'm excited for the snow and the pond starting to freeze over.
Yay.
Frank Perotti, feeling pretty good, ready to get some work done tonight. And my celebration is that Audrey, my
Brenda Williams.
next office
Her
colleague,
day started out.
Brenda.
she's at the Windsor train station
Oh, that's
as
cool.
we speak.
Nice.
So, arriving.
Good. Good.
I'm assuming that means they can't hear you.
What?
Could you guys hear Frank online?
I can.
You can. Oh,
Okay, you
okay.
gotta hear me
Okay.
through there, 'cause
Good.
I'm not online here because my computer makes too much noise.
Okay. Wanna go over here?
I'm Ed Spiker. I guess I'll celebrate the holidays here.
Nice.
Looking forward to eating tasty vittles with family.
Melissa Prunier. I am excited. We are 9 days away from the days getting longer again.
Nice.
I'm going to echo that winter solstice celebration. I'm Hope Damon, and my celebration is I have officially been sworn in as state rep for all of you people
Nice.
and waiting for my committee assignment. Also, I love seeing the lights, holiday lights.
Exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I'm Lynn Howard, and my day has been super busy, but I am looking forward to taking a break between Christmas and New Year's, celebrating. Anybody online? Brenda, are you ready
Yeah,
to speak?
my day was starting out all right. Then I went go to do my school bus monitor thing and had 2 flat tires.
Ugh.
Ooh.
So, yeah, life's great.
Great. All right, anybody else? Brittany?
She's muted.
Oh, okay, well. This for to share. Dealing with the kids, okay, great, okay. So last time we were together, we talked about what you needed from the group and what you were willing to contribute to the group. So I kind of put that down in a norms sheet for us. So just take a look at that. I'm sorry online, I don't have this sheet for you. Thank you.
Copies, I can make some.
I have enough copies, but I don't have it for people online necessarily. So just take a look and I think I have enough. Let me know if that kind of captured everything that we talked about the last time we were together, and if you'd like to add anything. Thumbs up if you're all set. And let me know if there's anything else.
Are you Summit Education?
I am. All good? All right. So our goal tonight is to finish editing the questions for the survey. And we're really keeping in mind that we're not going to spend time sort of debating and what we feel about questions. It's easy to kind of get into that. We all have strong feelings about these things. So it's kind of easy to get sucked into that and pulled into that. But we're going to really try to stay focused on thinking about the questions in terms of what we want from stakeholders. So what kind of information do we want to get back from the community? If we kind of veer off the railroad tracks and we wind up talking a little bit more about the content or how we feel about questions, I'm going to quickly redirect us so that we can try to get out of here perhaps around 8:30 or so. So I'm hoping, will somebody volunteer to be a timekeeper for us?
Yeah, I got you covered.
All right, how about you let us know when it's 7:30
You got it.
and then when it's 8 o'clock. That way we'll try to stay within those time limits. We really want to make sure that these questions are concisely worded and that we're clear and that we're really getting at that information that we need in order to create the strategic plan, because that's the ultimate goal for us. I think sort of a word about the process. The process is important. So as we're kind of going through this, it seems very arduous as we kind of, look at the wordsmithing and really trying to get at the heart of what we're looking for answers. So it can seem arduous. It can seem like a lot, but that process is important. That process really brings us to clarity around the questions that we want to ask and the information that we want to get. I liken it to childbirth. I know that's a weird connection, but the labor is as important as the outcome, and it's actually required for the outcome. So I just want to kind of give us a pep talk around that, and just so that we are really think about when I'm writing a paper. It's like, but it's that process that really brings you to clarity around what you really want to say. And it's the act of actually getting it down on paper or in a document that is valuable. So with that said, I did make a couple of, I rethought that we did earlier, and I rethought some of what we did, and I want to get to that later. So I'm thinking that we'll start where we left off. So we make sure that we get to those particular items. Start off with governance and then kind of work our way down on, and then hopefully we'll swing back around and I'll share with you the changes that I'm suggesting that we make. Okay. Select tab to review. Before we get started, does anybody have any questions or anything you'd like to say before we kind of dig into governance, the governance piece? And remember, I think we'll follow the same procedure we did last time, which is if you're happy with it, thumbs up. If you're not happy, thumbs down. If you're kind of in the middle, give a sideways thumb. And if you feel really strongly with a thumbs down, that you kind of explain what your opposition is, and then we'll see. We'll come back and revisit that. Does that all sound good to Brenda and Brittany and Nicole? Hi, Nicole.
Thumbs up.
All right, let's get going, right?
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead, Brittany.
So tonight, we're basically focusing on that survey,
Yes.
just because I might have to jump in and out, so I might disappear. So as far as voting, I just didn't want people to think I'm disappeared.
Okay.
Well, Brittany wouldn't be voting.
On a board member.
Oh, why? Sorry, an error
I
has
could get thumbs
occurred.
up or thumbs down if I like it or not. Yeah, but I think the idea is that's really the committee members, Brittany, with all due respect. No, that's fine. I just want to, just make sure that this is all, we're going on something bigger that the, like, the town thing or whatnot.
Nope, it's just a
No.
working meeting
This
to
is
finish
work.
putting together our survey.
Okay.
I'm just trying to share my tab. All right, let's see. What now?
Here we go. Let me take this away so it's bigger. I am not able to read that.
We don't have it. We have it. Or I think, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that works.
All right, so we're on the governance portion.
I think it looks good.
All right,
I like it.
oh, actually, I think I had a suggested change for this one too.
What do you like, the proposed items or the
Yeah.
key questions?
Proposed item.
Yeah, that is the current one.
Facilities, that's fine.
What's that?
I'm in facilities.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
That's the same thing.
All right. Okay. I'm going to change what I'm sharing, if that's okay. I had a different suggestion. So this one says, with respect to Croydon's SAU, please respond to the following statements. Croydon should definitely join another town's SAU. Croydon should consider joining another town's SAU if it's financially and organizationally shown to be beneficial, or Croydon should continue as its own SAU. I have a proposed change to that. Let me share my screen here.
Can I just comment while you're doing
Of
this?
course, of course, of course.
I don't think asking B, the one about if it's financially beneficial, the state won't let you form a different if it isn't organizationally and financially beneficial. It has to get approved by the state, and that's their criteria or part of their
Makes sense.
criteria. So I don't think the public gets to weigh in on that. I mean, they
Okay.
can, but it doesn't mean anything.
So maybe just joining another
Hmm.
town's SAU.
So here's what I'm,
And that could be reason to make,
Hmm.
to look into it or to initiate that kind of an action.
right,
Yeah. And I know that's true, especially if you want to separate. I don't know about if you want to read.
Actually, that's a good point, Frank,
Yeah,
because my experience with it is
it's always
several different
separation.
breaking
separations.
off
Yeah,
rather than joining in.
so I should not be assuming that the reverse is true,
I'm
although
not sure. I didn't
it's
think.
rational, but
This
I
is
also
what's
don't think it hurts to try to determine underlying motivations either,
Right,
where people are coming
Mhm.
from.
so this is what you want to change?
So here's a suggested change that I was thinking this may be a little bit clearer in terms.
One click. Oh, there we go.
Okay. With respect to Croydon's School Administrative Unit, SAU, what factor is most important to you? That Croydon maintains its independence, that Croydon makes its decision based on what is financially beneficial to the taxpayers, or that Croydon makes its decision based on what is organizationally beneficial to the school district?
No, there's no implication there that there's even the possibility of rejoining with another SAU, which I'm not sure if there should be. If we went with this, I would say for B and C, let's say makes its decisions. not
Yep.
just
To join, yeah, exactly.
I would say that it depends on what we're trying to get out of this question.
Right.
Because this one seems a lot more broad.
Right.
You're really asking a general question about how you make all decisions,
Yeah.
as opposed to a very targeted question
Right.
on rejoining another SAU.
Right.
So
So they
what
are
we trying to
two
get
very
out?
different kinds of questions.
I like that SAU is spelled out though, school administrative unit, because some people don't know what SAU
Mhm.
stands for.
Right, I remember you said that,
So
Jan, that's why I did that. Yep.
I think that
Yep.
should definitely.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say that about the other question. I still wonder if they really know what it means, if it's just as easy to say school district. But we're confident that people will read that and know what it means.
They won't.
I don't think so either.
Maybe we could just put IE school district in parentheses. Is that helpful?
It's really a strange thing because on a lot of the reports, I have to put SAU 99 and Croydon School District.
No.
It's really funny.
With respect to the Croydon School District, comma, administrative unit, parentheses, SAU.
Yeah.
I mean,
And give it the number 99, because that's who we are.
Mhm.
And are we trying to ask, do people want to be our own SAU, or do we want to join another one? Is that the question, or is it
Is
not
that the question?
Well,
Is that
was
what you
one of
want
the
to know?
key questions.
Right,
So if that's the question, I don't feel like what's on the screen asks that question to me. It doesn't.
No.
happy sticking with what we have originally. Does everybody agree with that, that we should stick with that?
The originally proposed one? or
Yes,
team
the
question?
original, the
Original
originally proposed one.
I
As
would
opposed
still
to the,
adjust some of the language to make
Yeah.
it more school district.
Yep.
In parentheses, SAU 99, just to make it more clear. And I liked how you worded it in the sense like, is it important to you? Like, is it important to you that Croydon remains its own independent school district?
that's what I was thinking. That's sort of what I was getting at.
Can
You
we
know, how
see
do-
your proposed amendment again?
Sure.
I wonder if you could kind of marry the two.
Maintains its independence as SAU
As its
90.
own SAU.
Mhm.
That's a lot more clear.
Croydon makes its decisions, including the possibility of rejoining another SAU or partnering with an area SAU. I don't know what it would be, but.
What do you
So
think
it
about
seems like
that?
the answers be to those, you select one of those
Strongly
choices.
agree, neutral,
Okay.
disagree.
Right.
No, I don't know about that because it's
No,
what
this-
factors most.
Right, so this would not have that
So it would just
gradient.
be
It would just be, what is the factor that's most important to you? Will you feel strongly that Croydon should maintain its independence?
Well, but could there be a D?
There could be,
I mean,
yeah.
because people might not want to say, I'm prioritizing over organization.
Right.
I want both.
I think D would be that Croydon rejoins another SAU, right? Because you've got the spectrum of choices here. That they remain independent, that they make a change based on criteria, and then, no, I just want to join another school district, sort of regardless of cost or whatever. Does that make sense?
Would this be an opportunity in the comment section
Yeah.
where you can make short comment at the bottom?
No, right, other,
Mm-hmm.
I
another.
mean,
Other, please explain.
well, yeah, because from a parent's point of view, I don't see the of education mentioned at all in that question.
Yeah, and I would almost replace C with something along those lines, because what does it mean when you say organizationally beneficial?
Yeah, yeah,
Unless we define what that means, I think
Right.
people will either be confused or they'll just, everybody will have a different idea.
right. I took that from the previous item, but that's a good thought. Makes its decision based on what is education, best for the education of its students. Let me put the other one on that same document for you.
Yeah, no, I think we're into a question than it
Yep.
was to begin with, which I'm not necessarily objecting to.
Right, right.
I mean, I like the proposed item the way it was,
The way it was,
the very first one.
that's fine. I just put that in there for your consideration for just a different way of looking at it. So the number one that's on the bottom is the original, one from the original document.
Mhm.
And the one on top is that one that I threw in a wrench for.
But I do think you should have other,
Mhm.
either it would, whichever one you go with, I think you should have other.
Mhm.
Gives people an option to, there's nothing worse than multiple choice and not liking any of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Mhm.
All right, well, let's do a quick,
And I'll say that was one thing that I felt like was missing in the last survey from the sustainability committee was limited options where I didn't feel like they were black and white.
Can we have it say Croydon's school district parentheses SU?
right here.
On the original one, the second
Yep.
one.
Yep.
And I have a quick question.
Sure.
So, in your experience having done these before, is it, based on what Amanda was just saying, is it better for us to try to still give these limited choices so that at the end of the day, we see what the person goes with the most, even if it's not their, be doing more of these others to see what they see, just for data collection purposes and such?
Not sure I understand your question, Nicole.
Do you mean like comments?
Right. If I'm wondering if limiting choices, like Amanda was just saying, last year's survey had a lot of limited choices. But then on the flip side of that is that forces that person to make a decision on what's most important to them based on the choices given. So I'm wondering, in Lynn's experience, is it better to kind of force that decision or to allow for a lot of the other without much, like, I don't know if they can explain the other.
In general, people
Yeah.
tend to choose one of the options that you present rather than doing other. But the other does leave open the possibility of something that we haven't thought about. And that's always a positive thing. But generally, people will choose from the options that you give.
But
And
And can they comment if they click other or no?
yes, other, please explain.
Thank you.
Yep.
I mean, I think others should stay there. I really do. Especially with the division in the town right
Yeah.
now. Don't just have it one way or the other.
Right. We haven't necessarily thought of everything. So there's going to be
Right.
things they're going to
Out there
say,
that we
wow.
haven't thought of,
So around
like other.
quickly and make a decision. Is it going to be, why don't we say, we'll call this 1A? Oops, sorry about that.
It's fine.
We'll just say the first one or the second one. Okay, so. All right, so the thumbs up for the first one. That's the original.
Oh,
Oh.
it's not.
No.
I'm sorry,
No,
sorry.
no,
That's the first, the new one. Sorry about that. All right,
Thank you.
and how about the second,
I think we all-
the old one?
original.
Okay. Take that out then.
So just adding on the-
Okay. Okay, so we're happy to move on?
Yeah.
Okay,
I just,
I didn't know what you're,
are you sharing a different?
I am.
Okay.
Sorry about that, I'm flipping back and forth here.
So moving on to policy, school choice.
No, we still have question 5.
Well,
You believe-
are we looking at all the key questions?
We did last time.
What we did
Oh.
last time.
Okay.
I mean, that's a yes or no question. I don't think it hurts to put it in.
We didn't look
Sorry,
at
what?
1, 2, and 3 for the team questions.
Are you talking about a question specifically?
5,
Oh.
on governance, 5, the next page.
Well,
Well, let's start with 1.
one. Should the school district set specific measurable goals each year? Frank, does the school district not do that currently? Is that,
We do it in a very general way, but it would be better if the school district did a retreat every year and actually did that. So that's, because we really don't do that now. We've kind of been trying to basically get through the year.
My thought with this question is I think there would be some background information needed. I think the general
Right.
public reading it might be like, what are you talking about?
right,
And me knowing about goals was like, well, who? The board, the admin, the teachers? I mean, who's going to be the district?
right, who is the
member
district?
Involved in that goal setting.
Really good point, because generally that's a board function.
Mhm.
And so the board should do that. The same, number 2 is the same vein.
Yes.
Superintendent meets with teachers and with the administrators to do goals. That happens every year. That's part of our evaluation process. Pay incentives, we do not have a union, so our pay is individual every year with every employee. So that already, that's more of a question for a district that's unionized, but
Why would it matter if it was unionized or not?
for me,
Why would it matter if it was unionized or not?
because that's a huge issue of incentive pay and how to measure that. And
As
we've
in
been
you,
fighting about it in courts for years between unions and school districts.
My district, for example, just got rid of merit pay because it was a really debated issue. You had to have a certain percentage of the district staff who met it, and if you didn't, then nobody got it. So if people did fulfill their goals, but somebody else didn't record it, then you would be penalized.
Yeah. Could become a fashion show.
well, this doesn't say anything about how it would be implemented. It's just whether or not it should be used as a tool.
My question that came to mind when I read that was, what about alternatives, alternative incentives? Why are we just saying pay base if we're going to ask it all?
It's a good question. And should incentives, parentheses, pay or otherwise be used?
Or just take out pay-based?
Something, yeah, something
Should
like
just
that.
incentives.
I would just rather not include the question.
What's your reason for that, Amanda, for not including it?
I think teachers and administrators work hard to meet goals. And, I don't think that the public needs to weigh in on it.
Does it circle back to,
Working in studying is a very violent and typical.
can you turn her
Nicole, can you speak up a little bit louder? Yeah.
Switch to headphones. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
better.
Okay, sorry about that. at the end of the day, Croydon is a very different place to work. As both, you know, a teacher and a principal, Mary Beth and I do far more than our jobs have ever asked. The other day, Mary Beth was unclogging the toilet, and that is not a task of teacher's job, really. So this question here, I don't see how our teachers wouldn't get paid more each and every time. And so if that was the question, I think it should just be a part of the regular salary. I don't know that this is an appropriate question.
Well, incentives are used quite often throughout multiple industries on aligning corporate or nonprofit or whatever goals with what people are doing on a day-to-day basis. Doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. I mean, it's all in how, of course. And the question, I think, is just trying to determine if that's something that the town thinks that we should do.
Right, and I totally agree. You know, people get pay-based incentives frequently for their jobs and such. My point is that I don't see how, based on the work that our staff does right now, I don't see how they wouldn't earn this every time. And so I guess I don't understand
Yeah, I think,
what. Help me out, please, Frank.
yeah, I'm thinking the wording of the question should implies that you are not being already held accountable to your goals.
Right.
Okay,
Mm.
but you are. Your
Right.
evaluations hold you to your goals, and your pay when it comes contract time. Just like the board gave teachers a change in pay because of their situation, that changes every year based on performance. If you were not performing, you would not meeting your goals. Really hasn't given us goals. So once we know our school goals, then align to those. And that's where the evaluation process then is involved to see if that happens. And if it doesn't, I'm just trying to imagine how, I know it's a business thing, I'm just trying to imagine how we would adapt it to this school, easier to a larger school in a merit pay-based system, which I know I've never had one, thank God, but I know they're a nightmare to try to operate. Yeah, so maybe if we change the wording, that should pay-based incentives be included as incentives and administrators? Would that make more sense, Nicole? Something along that
Just
line?
something to suggest that it's not the
Be
only.
an option?
It seems to me that this question, I think getting back to what you were saying earlier, Frank, is when school districts have collective bargaining agreements
Right.
and teachers move lockstep. You know, they don't really,
Yeah.
they don't get an opportunity to make extra money because they work extra hard. So you're on step one, step two, you get paid whatever it says in your lane.
Right.
This seems more directed toward that kind of a
Yeah,
system than a system where you're not a union. And so
everybody's at will.
when your year is up and it's time for your pay raise, hopefully, then the things that you do, whether you met your goals or whether you did extra work, that all gets taken into consideration, and that hopefully your raise is based on that. So it seems like it's already happening. What do y'all think about that?
I mean, my experience, I don't have any experience with unions, obviously, and whatnot. So mine is just limited to private corporations or whatever.
Right.
And usually when I think of something like this, I think of there's a set of strategic goals that are kind of decided before the year starts. And then managers meet with their direct reports and they come up with a list of goals that they want to achieve during the year. There's a number that's put to it, and if they get it at the end of the year, they get it. If they don't, they don't.
Right.
There's different forms that can take. It doesn't have to replace pay. It could be in addition to expected salary. But in any event, the goal is to sort of bring that alignment between where we want to go in a given year to kind of what everybody's thinking about and doing and working towards on a day-to-day basis.
I think in most school districts, teachers set goals on an annual basis.
Right.
Like their administrators, and that they meet with periodically to check and see if they are meeting them. And it's not about getting an extra incentive. It's about doing your job and growing professionally. So I don't know. I don't like the question.
Go ahead, Holly.
I have some concern about how this question perhaps ties back to number one in this, in that because of the very concise size of our student population, and I should preface saying this, I am not a professional educator or credentialed teacher, but setting specific measurable goals, if you set school goals for student performance and our concise size is going to make it very hard to have that be predictable, that it is or isn't attainable. It depends on the students in a given year. So
Right, if you're setting academic goals, right.
if that's
Right.
part of, what are the goals that teachers are supposed to accomplish?
The other thing
It's
that,
like a can of worms to me.
and it also comes to mind that that's what we're here to do. We're here to set goals, strategic goals. So that question is, should the school district set specific measurable goals? Yes, because that's what we're doing. That's what the strategic planning committee is doing. In the strategic plan is actually setting goals. So,
So maybe this question is really about pay and money. And
yes,
how we pay, after hearing Aaron talk about that, it could be an alternative to a traditional salary system. So I'm wondering if the question is, would the community like the school district to investigate alternative pay systems to maintain our teaching staff? I don't know.
How do you budget that?
So what are those?
Yeah, I don't know.
We struggle
I
to
don't
get
know.
teachers as it is. I
Oh,
feel like
yeah,
if you
yeah,
open up,
because-
we might pay you in an alternative way. We're not gonna get anybody.
I mean, are we paying?
Yeah.
Exact.
Like, seriously, what is,
That's
what,
what
no,
I'm going to move us along. I don't want to spend the whole evening on these questions. So what I'm going to do is highlight this. And
Do a quick thumb thing and see where we're at with it, because I think it's so confusing that maybe it's gonna go off the board.
yeah, let's do a quick, do we do a quick thumb thing on each one or
Yeah,
on
sure.
all three as a unit? Because they all
Each one.
do each one. Okay. How about a quick thumbs up or down on number one?
I don't know that it's,
Oh, yeah.
I like it, but I don't know that's necessary if.
I don't think it's necessary either.
To your point, we are setting goals. We're supposedly supposed to do it already,
I
but
mean,
we aren't.
that's
So
their
that's an
job.
issue.
That's their job.
Right. Right. And it is kind of a policy
Yeah.
issue as well.
Kind of a requirement.
Let's-
A board requirement. So we should be doing it.
Yeah,
All right, so let's
right. It's kind of,
go
it's
this way and we can take it off. I'm good with that.
it's best practices. And I mean, it's similar to the assessment question. Should we be assessing our students for, beginning, middle, and end of year?
Yeah.
Yes, because that's best practice.
I'll also go sideways. I could
Okay.
take it or leave it.
All right. Anybody strongly thumbs down on number one? All right. Anybody strong? I'm sorry, Nicole and Brenda. Brenda may not be.
I didn't know if I was voting because I'm not a,
Oh,
Brenda
That's right,
is.
I don't vote either.
Oh, okay. All right, how about number 2? Anybody strongly thumbs down on number 2?
I
Okay.
think it would need tons of information or.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that those of us who aren't actually on the committee aren't voting.
Okay.
No.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Just clarifying that
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I didn't respond.
And strongly thumbs up on number 2.
Well, number 2,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the average Joe is qualified to give the teacher goals.
Well, I don't know if the question is suggesting that
Right.
an average Joe would do this. I imagine that it would be a collaborative discussion between the teachers and the administrators to determine, or one-on-one conversations.
Right, there is
Which
a
already
process in place.
Yeah.
But that's my point, is I think it would need a paragraph of explanation in
Right.
order to.
What we
have
do
people
now.
Understand the
Right.
question.
Right.
Get your mom.
And I think, you know,
To even
I think,
answer that question.
Yes.
right, right. And if it sounds like it currently happens anyway, I mean, like Amanda said, typically that's something that teachers do at the beginning of the year.
One is a
And
board
they're evaluating.
responsibility,
Yeah.
2 is a administrator responsibility with teachers.
Yeah.
And there is a process, and actually, Jody just sent us the law as a discussion item on that very issue. It will be coming up at a board meeting.
Okay.
So it's already happening, and it's in statute, so.
All right.
About this being required, number 2, is that what you're
So
referring to?
one really, it's 3 that you're talking about.
Yeah, teachers have to set their goals so that we can use that towards their sort of recertification every 3 years,
Right. Right. All right. Let's
which
move
is
on.
an annual
I
goal.
think so.
Let's move on.
What was there for?
Did you,
Oh, with that week's.
and then 5?
Should be in there. I don't know if it should be 6 because we already have kindergarten, but I think maybe we should say 5 or.
Didn't we address that with some?
did.
of
took
We
it
had a
out.
question,
Took it out.
no, we had a question about preschool.
Pre-K. No.
I think we.
Now, the preschool one's in there.
Okay,
This one's
all right.
just more broad, I think.
Right.
That would not go to our kindergartners.
Well, right, and.
Well, that's what I'm saying, change it, make it different from 6, make it 5 or 4.
Well, then,
What if we went back to that pre-K question? Would you favor universal preschool? About including that special ed info you were to pay?
That covers it.
Yep. Would you favor it being paid for publicly, partially paid publicly, or paid privately? Okay,
It's already there.
Okay.
5's no.
all right. Thumbs up on that then and keeping that question in there?
Yeah.
All right. Let's look at this policy school choice. And I mean, we can call we don't even actually have to label these sections in the actual survey. We can just present them as questions.
Right.
They're labeled in here
Right.
for our own purposes. So number 1 on the proposed item is Newport is currently our anchor school, meaning they are required to take our students at a rate determined by their cost. Please respond to the following statements. And this would be on the gradient, strongly agree to strongly disagree. Newport should continue as our anchor school. Croydon should provide transportation to Newport.
2.
That's basically status quo.
Yeah,
Right.
Hmm.
Okay.
so is that
That's fine.
a thumbs up on that?
Yeah.
Continue to provide.
I think Nicole wants to say
Go
something.
ahead, Nicole. Sorry, my back is to you.
I don't mean to belabor, if we continue to have Newport as our anchor school, then we have to provide transportation.
Yes, only up through grade 8.
Yeah.
Only up through grade 8.
Is that the law?
That's the law.
Right.
Yeah, we do not have to
One
provide
or 2
physical
miles from
transportation.
your anchors. More than 2
Nicole,
miles.
can you put your mic up closer to your mouth? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
It's only to 8th grade though,
So should we,
the law.
Would this make more sense?
Right, but what I was
Yes.
saying is that, grade 8 is in the same building as the high school.
That's why we take everybody because it's convenient. We are not required to take everybody by law, but it's silly to pick up one kid at a house and say to them,
Right.
no, you can't get on the bus.
So maybe this question is out because it's required by law up to grade 8, and then it doesn't make sense to leave some kids behind. It doesn't seem a question that we should leave in. What do you all think?
Well, my
We actually we actually have a technical problem. Because we do provide high school transportation to Newport, we could have parents from our other schools force us to transport to those schools.
Gotcha.
Because what you do for one, you then have to do for everyone. So
Oh,
it's a tricky place to get messing around.
But can't we just say we do it for our anchor school and that's the only one we do it for?
no.
The R 189:6.
What?
Brenda, you've got some static.
Say what?
You're staticky.
Yeah, it might not be her.
What it is, my furnace just
Oh.
came on. Wow.
Oh my
Heat is good.
So what do we need to ask something different then in light of what you're saying, Frank?
I would leave it at, man.
Croydon should provide transportation somehow per the law and not put a grade.
Yeah, I think
So
Well,
But then
if the
what are
purpose
we
of our
asking them?
survey is to gather
yeah.
information from the town about what we want our district to
Sure,
do.
well, maybe,
Maybe there's a bunch of people who really want their kids to be bused to Sunapee, especially if we have a legal requirement to do it.
so,
Not me, my kids now have their own car, but
um,
but
Oh, happy day.
if we're looking to have an equitable offering,
maybe
You
I
know,
think,
should
maybe
we
we
leave it
put a
out?
C on there, which is Croydon should provide, oh God, I hate to even say it.
no,
I really don't like going down this road, but I don't know.
Well,
I'll leave it to you want to know. I'm just telling you as your superintendent that there's some legal issues involved here that could be costly.
what are we trying?
Impossible.
What's this question?
Yeah, what are you?
Like, what are we gonna do
What's
with
this
the
question
answer?
getting at?
yeah,
Because asking if Croydon should continue to provide transportation to Newport when it is the law through 8th grade, why are we asking that question?
exactly.
It's like we're asking people, do you want to comply with the law?
Well, I guess
I mean,
it's asking if we want
Yes.
to do it for high schoolers.
Right, we just.
it's not clear that that's.
we
being
added
asked
law
right
already.
now.
What if we just take and cross out B and just have A?
So does the law state that we have to provide transportation to our anchor school? Or,
It
So-
does, the anchor school to our designated school up through 8th grade.
okay, so
After
it
that,
does
you-
say
You
anchor
have no
school.
responsibility for transportation.
Okay,
But when you start to transport beyond, then you have to treat all students the same. And issue for us, I mean, we have some major schools, we have Sunapee.
right.
Sometimes we have Lebanon, sometimes we have Claremont. We have Newport. I have a student over at Kimball Union. I've had students in Hanover.
Right.
I mean, it could be,
Girls go to Sunapee one year, have a bus because it wasn't the anchor.
that's right, we only have like to Newport because the anchor school up to 8th grade.
Opening up a whole can of worms,
Yeah.
but otherwise, why do this question
I
here?
think that this would be a cost item to the town.
As are a lot of these other things, but,
Yeah.
but I don't see the relevance of the question if it's
just following along.
right.
I was curious
Go
if there's.
go ahead, Ed. He had, sorry, Amanda, he had his hand up.
I was just gonna, can I read the first paragraph of the wording of that law?
Go ahead.
Okay, RSA 189:6. transportation of pupils. The local school district shall furnish transportation to all pupils in grade 1 through grade 8 who live more than 2 miles from the school to which they are assigned. It says nothing about an anchor school. It says nothing about the school district where they're going here. It says the school to which they're assigned.
Oh,
So
that's an anchor school.
no,
No,
it's
it's
the
not.
school to which they're attending.
Signs and
So
When the local school board creates a contract with a school,
Yeah.
the way the legal mechanism of that work is, we are assigning that child to that school, and therefore, we can pay the tuition. So the meaning of those words is assigned, which is that, in which case, we probably should be transporting 8th grade, because we do Montessori. We probably should.
That was
Right.
my.
Straight from
additional
COE.
thought here was whether Montessori
But
should
my-
be reflected in here since we do transport.
But Sunapee isn't Sunapee wouldn't take all our students,
Right.
would they?
No.
Then they're not really our anchors. They're not our anchors.
They're not our
But
anchor
that's not
school.
the law.
They're,
It doesn't say
I hear
anything
you.
about an anchor school. It just
Right.
says they're assigned. school.
right.
So my layman's understanding, that child is assigned to attend.
So that's
And
the
the
key
only
word.
reason I actually have knowledge of this is because I went through this previously with my 2 sons.
You guys were struggling last year, I know, with busing.
Very much so with
Yeah.
the busing.
Yeah.
The busing was an issue. We got over it. Everybody's amicable. But it is a touchy subject with a lot of folks, just because of work schedules, accessibility to certain roads. I mean, it's
Right.
a lot.
Right.
And I'm lucky to live right on Route 10. So,
So,
and I have somebody who has their own car as well.
Right.
So I'm kind of lucking out, but a lot of folks don't.
Right. So
And-
from what I understand, an anchor school is really that financial contractual piece where the school sets the rate.
What happens
agrees to pay.
when a district separates from an existing SAU, you have to come up with, sometimes they're referred to as articles, but essentially it's an agreement with the state on
Yeah.
how that will happen. And you have to provide an analysis of the finances and the benefits and how you will cover all the academics and all of those things. And one of the things that they require is that you have at least one school that will guarantee to you that they will educate all of your children regardless.
Okay.
So Newport, in that relationship with us, is the only school that I can say to a parent when they go to 5th grade, regardless of the skill sets or the abilities of that child, they can go to Newport at public expense.
So we should put in the word all.
Other schools sometimes refuse.
Yep.
And unfortunately, Sunapee will say no sometimes, that they just don't have the capacity
Right.
to provide particular services that we need, where Newport can't say that. They have to go out and find them.
I mean,
Recently
about whether they should be the anchor school?
We should ask.
So, but what
the
happened with the
wants us to do,
transportation?
Because I mean, the
We'll
school,
come back to
the
that.
school district has kind of stuck their head in the sand a little bit about this because
Well, they have a really high price tag and they have low test
Okay.
scores. And
Okay.
so there has been a lot of
Yeah.
debate about it.
Okay, then it should stay.
My opinion, I guess, hearing all this, I think that part A is a good piece because
Right.
we want to gauge what the public thinks about Newport
Okay.
specifically. I personally don't care so much the transportation question. Because again, we're only talking about a narrow slice. There's limited control over it. And it doesn't feel like the question adds a tremendous amount of value to our plan. So I'm here or there on B. I take it or leave it.
Go ahead.
Up on that.
Go ahead, Hope.
I was just going to weigh in on a little history in regards to transportation because Croydon is kind of a spread out town geographically. my daughters who are now in their early 30s went to Sunapee, not here, because of transportation. So school had to provide transportation, and from where we were, what was going to happen is we would transport them the required 1.5 miles, 2 miles, whatever it is. And then they would be picked up by the Newport school bus, go to Newport, and then transfer to the Croydon school bus that had brought the kids, high school kids, to Newport, and take the bus here. And it was this very, I mean, 6-year-old
Yeah.
was not reasonable. And the school board eventually agreed it was not reasonable. There was a discussion about having a private driver, and at the time they were not willing to require the driver to pass the background checks. I think, in looking at transportation, we want to make sure that we look at the broader geography. There are little kids now where,
Maybe.
and
that's
how,
the
I mean, the
question.
more
Maybe there should
kids,
be a
their
question.
grandmother brings them here.
Should we should the district look at how we transport children?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the
That's
question.
broad.
Because this is a very complicated question and there's
Right.
a lot.
That's a good suggestion.
That's a good way to phrase it. Are we all
Personal story.
thumbs up on that
Aaron, you look
rephrasing?
worried.
I like the direction it's going.
Okay.
Should the district look at how we're doing transportation? Seems a little bit like vague, like maybe something more direct, like you are satisfied with the current transportation, strongly disagree. or agree.
Yeah, that
And you can
satisfaction
even break it
piece.
down by years if you like to,
Like
high school.
5 to 8.
Yeah,
and-
middle school, K through 4.
Yeah, that satisfaction piece is a good, you get a good feel for.
Maybe a definite spot for, to qualify your answer, like add in the anecdotal,
It needs a comment section.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm satisfied now, but ask me 5 years ago and I would.
Ed, did you want to add something? Okay. It sounds like we're landing on a rephrasing of this question.
Well, the Newport Anchor School question, I think, is great.
I think the
And it's like
transportation's
the
a different
transportation
question.
is a whole different question. It shouldn't be B, it should be its own
Yeah.
question.
Yeah,
It has nothing to do, it's two
I think
separate
that's the
things.
direction we're
Yep.
going here.
Right.
Yeah, let's separate.
and it
Yep.
seems like that's another question that needs a paragraph of information or a couple sentences.
You know, I mean,
I
People
think
don't know what the law
I
is.
think if you're asking a satisfaction question, then it's whatever your perception is
yeah,
from your experience and what you know about in your world. So you don't have to have the big picture. You don't have to know everything. It's what you're experiencing.
right.
Your time is at 7:30.
Thank you. That's perfect.
Thanks, Frank.
So
We haven't gotten very far.
can I have some rewording on this transportation statement? Can we start out with, are you satisfied?
Or how
Please rate your
satisfied.
satisfaction with
How
student
satisfied,
transportation
yeah.
in Croydon.
I like it. Yeah, and then you can put one of the satisfied, not satisfied. Good. Whatever, but you could, yeah.
With transportation of students in grades,
I wouldn't even put a grade. I'd just go,
in transportations of with transportation of Croydon students.
Since we get into
Yeah.
grades, we get into
right,
the mud.
right,
Okay, and then that can be,
right, that works.
But then are we gonna have them check off or have a separate A, K through 4, B?
Just have it be a matrix.
through-
No, don't separate it out like that. Just leave it alone.
how would you know?
Would you have an idea of it from the initial question of, do you have students in the school? I mean, wouldn't,
Right.
I don't know if there was a breakdown on that.
There is a demographic, but again, we're also doing this with an eye toward analyzing results, right? And so we don't want to have to you know, be like going, oh, now this person answered this question. Now, what demographic were they? And connecting those two together so that I can understand, are we talking about 5 through 8s or
For
elementary?
comments, just
So,
have that, a yes or no question with comment.
It
meaning
doesn't
what,
hurt to
Jen?
be able to do what Ed's saying though, because let's say you get like 400 responses and they all say they love it. And then there's 5 people that absolutely hate it.
Right.
And then you find out though that people are the ones that have kids in Montessori or something,
Right.
you know?
So could we break it down then?
It would, I think it would be easier.
Croydon K through 4, Newport 5 through Newport Montessori, other districts.
Maybe that should be in the demographics.
Well, but then you have to look back. Late and figure this answer.
Well,
Right.
most survey software do that though. You can filter out. At
I
least that
think
do.
I think we also talked about having a lot of this be paper, or some of it be paper too. So there's going to be.
I imagine those will have to get entered into
Right.
whatever programs. But anyways.
Okay. So thumbs up on adding the kind of the demographic here in this. So where the students are coming from or not. So going to, yeah, that's what I mean, going to.
I would be in favor of splitting it out by K through 4, 5 through 8, and 9 through 12. Is that,
But not in
That doesn't
to
sound
Newport
right.
or not? I mean, because that's gonna be a big split. If you have a student in
hmm,
5 through 12 who is being transported versus one who isn't.
Right. It really wouldn't give you the information you're looking for.
No.
So your suggestion
you know,
Amanda?
a big breakout.
was,
Croydon
Croydon.
students K through 4, Newport students 5 through 12, Newport Montessori students.
The above, or if
I
there's,
have no opinion.
I have no opinion.
That's in there. No opinion for every.
Okay.
okay, so. Whoops.
Where you see neutral, we're going to reword that to say
No.
no opinion.
Okay.
Or I think we said having a connection thing, okay. Croydon K to 4. And then we have Newport 5 through 12. Newport Montessori. SSORI. And that's 5 through 8,
Mhm.
5 through 12. And then the other option is unsure or, yeah. And then do we want comments here?
Yeah, I think it's a good place for people to
Okay,
hear some stuff.
okay. All
It
right.
feels like there should be a, if you answered, you know, strongly dissatisfied, please explain.
Or maybe if they're strongly satisfied, they want to explain too, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you, they're really happy since Jan got on the bus.
Yeah.
All right.
It's good. It's just less, I guess, there's less you do really when it's like that.
Less
Not
that you can
broken.
do,
Right.
they're broken down?
I mean, when you ask for positive,
Oh, right.
as nice as it is to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 3 on the right is schools should be required to meet minimum student performance standards in order to be included in our school choice program.
That is totally against the law.
Let's take it out.
Yeah, we're a school choice school district,
Okay.
period.
Delete.
Where,
Whoop.
I'd be curious to see the law. I'm not disagreeing. I hadn't heard of that before.
What, we're a choice district, and the Croydon bill gives parents the right to choose schools, you know, for their kids at the completion of a grade.
I thought that the school board decided which schools we sent this
We
to.
approve, essentially, we've never school that a parent has requested.
But you could,
We could,
Good.
so.
but this
But on
is
what
refusing,
basis?
this
But
is
on
not
what
refusing
basis?
the school, this is refusing a child.
No, it's a.
No.
All right, let me-
It's the
It
school.
said the school should be required to. meet
Oh,
minimum student
I'm sorry, I read it totally wrong, sorry.
My question about that, question was, should we, be sure to qualify all public and private schools? Because I don't think that that is the case right now, you know?
Well,
Can you zoom back in
the
again?
school board has to approve the bar that the school board has to meet is to assure that they meet adequacy, the requirements of adequacy, which is being hugely debated right now in the state, and what that will be. And so that's, the RSA is that you have to meet certain things. If the school, the local school board has to make that determination when a school applies. So that's where that happens. And so you're looking for or whoever, this question would look for guidance from the school board to use, in which case this would be okay.
Does there need to be a qualification about private versus public? Because my understanding was that not all private schools have to submit or adhere to student performance standards in the same way public schools do.
We could say, for clarity in here, all schools or maybe schools premises, public and private should be required.
Adequacy. If we pay
Put all schools? Will that
Yeah.
cover it?
Will all be sufficient?
I think that's clear enough, but
And
All
would
is all.
we use the same language as the law, adequacy, as opposed to minimum student performance standards?
Yeah, we
Well,
should
then it's-
get that RSA exactly. I used to know. I can use my authority. on
You're
that.
gonna and like he's the RSA encyclopedia.
He has the RS phone there.
And I'm taking you to Concord with me.
But what you're talking about, Frank, is,
Oh, I do.
you're talking about an adequate, what constitutes an adequate education as opposed to minimum
Oh,
student performance
Mm,
standards.
My bad.
So two different
Yeah.
things.
right.
You're right.
And what, look, I think, Amanda, I think I'm thinking about what you're thinking, like what constitutes performance standards? Is it,
Yeah.
Statewide assessments? Is it, portfolio
Mhm.
that, you might have at Montessori or?
Do you need to have all those answers now, though? Because it's really, I see this question as trying to gauge the
Yeah.
public's
It's a
perception
survey,
of
it's
whether
not-
there should be some standard that we're holding these schools to. If they are yes, then we have to figure out what are those.
What are those standards? Yeah.
Brenda has raised her hand.
Oh.
Brenda.
You wanted somebody to let you know when it was 7:30.
Oh, thank you.
Our timekeeper was Johnny on the
You're
spot.
late.
Thank you.
It should say all schools.
So I think it's okay to leave that in there and just, because we're not really asking for anything very specific except for, do you think that there should be performance standards for the schools that we provide that are on our school choice?
Yeah.
Speaking of this being the policy school choice, and now we're referencing school choice here, Jody has taken great issue with the term school choice being used here in Croydon recently and has insisted that it is a program.
Town tuition.
Right, and so I wonder what we want to do with her language here. I know, townspeople have long recognized the school choice program, but she has been very adamant since March that it is not.
Yeah.
So could we just change
She's not
that?
here on the committee, but
She is
I'm
not
just
on the
throwing
committee.
that out.
Could we change that wording, school choice program, to for our school options?
I
And
mean,
that
I
way,
think-
kind of get away from,
I think everybody calls it the school choice program, and that's what everybody knows it as, so why not just call it that?
Yeah.
good, okay,
That's my opinion
all
personally.
right.
I don't know if you're gonna teach.
I
all
agree with
politics.
Also, we're
Uh,
trying to make this clear to people, not
Yeah.
confuse
No
them. So
confused,
why
right,
put
right.
in
What
a
am
new
I
term
doing?
that,
Can I have thumbs on number
Thumbs up.
3?
We can put an asterisk and put a little thing about says, Jody says this is town tuition.
All right. Number 4 is families should have multiple schools to choose from for their children.
Yeah. Well, what if the other schools don't accept them?
That's why we have to have an anchor school.
So you have, so
Well,
the
but you-
question is saying families should have multiple schools to choose from. Well, what if only the anchor school accepts your child?
You might
Choice
wanna put
or-
tuition children, by the way, not all students. All families.
For,
wait, where are we?
You're gonna need
I'm
to
sorry,
phrase that as
right
K
here. You know what I
through
mean?
12.
Oh, right.
You're gonna need to phrase that as K through 12, not all families
I
have choice.
hear your point.
are you talking about
Yeah,
number 4?
I get your point as well. I think
It's
this question though is just,
transportation.
I think just trying to get people's generalized feelings on school choice
Yeah.
versus.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, if you needed it, a parenthetical, families should have multiple schools to choose from for their children with an understanding that only the anchor school is required to take them.
Right, yeah. Oh, no, I mean, I just questioned it because what, I'm a what if person.
After
I-
grade, and
no.
it's after grade 4.
Right,
Okay.
that should definitely be there too.
Okay.
I think this is just getting at a general sentiment.
Okay, so that's, fine, however you word.
Should be, I want to open, we're say, should we break it out by K through 4, 5 and up, or not?
Didn't we reference this in earlier questions regarding school choice versus maintaining Little Red, et cetera?
Yes, you're right. Yeah, so it's already in there. Okay, yep. No,
I'll just leave it as is.
All right,
Do you want to leave in the after grade 4?
You have to do that because they don't have a choice before grade 4.
Yeah.
uh-huh.
They have to come back.
Okay.
All right. Show a thumbs on 4.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
5, there should be a cap placed on tuition paid
Yeah.
for by the public on schools in the school choice program.
I think if we had that question, there would need to be information provided that we don't set the tuition for our anchor school. And so if we place a cap, we may not be able to hold to that cap without getting into a huge legal issue. And for that reason, I take great issue with this question.
Here's what I'll just talk from the school district experience with that have choice programs. Cornish, they go through a tuition setting process. And this comes out of the negotiation when they separated from SAU 6. They became SAU 100, guys. They set a cap and they go and they literally have an agenda item on a meeting and they look at their anchor school, which is Claremont. And so they know it has to be that much. And then they look at a couple of other choices. And one of the important ones is the Hartford Tech Center, because a lot of their kids go there for their tech career, technology or tech programs. So they come up with a number. It's generally very close to the Hartford Career and Tech Center, and just over the Claremont amount, but under Lebanon and under Hanover, et cetera. So they have kids who will go to Hanover. And what happens is the school district pays their set amount that they set their cap, and the parents make up the rest if they want to go there. that's one.
How is that different from what we're doing?
Right,
Oh,
so,
That's
so we
exactly
do have a
Oh,
cap.
it's the same as what we're doing.
Mhm.
Okay.
Only we use our, we don't do a negotiation, we just use Newport.
Mhm.
Lyme, on the other hand, pays the tuition that the receiving school requires. So Lyme will pay the whole 27,000 or whatever it might be to go to Hanover.
So they go full boat
They
all the
go
time?
full boat for
Lyme
every
school
kid, for
districts.
every school. So you do have a choice. When I've talked with the Lyme folks about that, they tell me that they have a legal opinion that says that what we do and what Cornish does is illegal. But I know that we here have the opposite opinion. And I also know that Cornish got the opposite opinion as well. So it is what it is. You know,
Interesting.
you could set a cap if you wanted. Well, you do. We
So
have.
should we say there should continue to be a cap
Yeah.
placed on tuition paid for?
Maybe that's what the question should be.
So I read it differently than
Mhm.
what you
Okay.
just explained.
Mhm.
I read it as, should a cap be placed on tuition paid, meaning we won't increase our tuition by more than 2% per year, or
Mm.
more than
We won't pay
five.
More than $8,000 per student.
Correct, that's how I read it, is we won't raise the tuition by
Mhm.
more than X%. So I think it just needs clarity on what that word cap means.
We're legally required to have at least one option where they don't have to be out of pocket anything. So,
And we negotiate that with Newport. I mean, we negotiate that for them.
yeah,
So
so like, so I mean, yeah, we're like how we have it now, we have a cap, but it's, you could never say, well, we're only gonna pay 15,000 to Newport,
No.
because we have to have that option.
Right.
So
so
I'm
is this
wondering-
question even a question that we should be asking?
Nobody's gonna say, open it up. Maybe the one person who sends their kid to Lebanon next year.
Be more than one by the end of the year.
And this kind of implies that there is not currently a cap.
Well, I think that there are some
Think.
people in town who don't think that there is.
Well, there isn't, in the sense that like Newport just raises it every year and we sort of have to follow suit.
Right.
We don't really have much pull with them.
Well, that's because we don't have our own K through 12 school.
Yeah, that's an option.
Be glad it's not Hanover. Hanover actually literally inflates their tuition for outside schools above their cost.
Sure, Newport's gonna go up again next year.
Yeah, Newport will go up, but at least actual costs, actual expenditures in a formula. Their problem is student population is going down, so their per pupil costs keep going up.
Well,
Anyway,
I recommend
I would
that just
86
take this
this one.
question out,
given all that.
because I'm not sure that you're really gaining anything from the answer.
Right.
Well,
Well, the question could be, do you want to do away with a cap?
Earlier we had some "Are you aware?" questions. I wonder if this would be appropriate as an "Are you aware?" Are you aware that we have a cap placed on tuition paid for our tuition students, but the cap is determined by our anchor school?
It's not really a cap when they're the ones picking the cap.
I hear you.
Yeah.
But it's
Tuition, it's really a
it's
tuition
our
set.
choice with them as our anchor school to some degree. But I feel like this question is in here in order to get at some of the public sentiment that came out in the spring about wishing for a cap, but we don't have the legal ability to create the kind of cap that some people wish we could.
Mhm.
Maybe that all of us, everybody wishes we didn't have to pay as much,
Right.
but I just wonder if it would have a place in there as an awareness piece.
I think the word cap indicates that it's something that you have some control over. So maybe the wording is more, are you aware that Newport sets the tuition rate?
Yeah.
And we are
That
required.
we use as, to determine the cap we will pay for 5 through 12 students.
And just speaking historically, when my kids were going to Sunapee, because they did K to 12, Sunapee was actually substantially more expensive than Newport back then.
And Croydon paid it.
No.
Oh.
Croydon paid what they paid Newport because
right,
the anchor
yeah.
school tuition
Right.
was in fact the cap that would be paid. We paid the difference.
That's how we continue to operate, but now.
But it's the other way around now.
I mean, I feel like we just take this one out. I don't know that it adds a tremendous amount of value. Trying to sell
I
it
think it's confusing.
somehow, it's not just getting at the same thing.
Before we do, Jan, you seemed like you really wanted this question. Do you have?
No, I have no preference on 4.
Well, let's do a,
Fine.
Five.
Oh,
It was 4.
let's do a on this one. Thumbs up, down, or sideways on keeping it. Jan?
Down.
Okay. So it's gone, unless Jan, you. No. Okay. Structure of Croydon's school choice provides equitable access for student families. And this is a perception. What do you think? What's your world telling you?
Yeah, I'd like to know how people feel about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that's-
Anybody have any strong objections to that one?
Who's up?
Hey,
Did you say thumbs up, Brenda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there some in the left column?
Oh, sorry. I'm neglecting that.
I don't think there's anything different than what we just covered.
Household spending, are you willing to contribute?
Oh.
That's the next
Oh,
category.
sorry, that's budget.
Different category.
Yeah, I think,
Same.
1 and 2 are sort of the same.
Yeah.
We already did.
yeah,
The team, nope, the one we were just in, except for in that column.
okay, I think we covered both columns on that one.
Okay, we-
Budget is next. Let's see if I can,
What was that last one?
on what?
On the next one up? I didn't see it.
Structure. Croydon school choice.
Where it says school choice program, yes or no?
Yeah, one is, do you believe that there should be a cap on tuition paid?
Oh, we just moved it over.
It was on both.
Yeah, some of them I took and put directly on
Oh,
the proposed side. Budget, so on the, so the questions on the left, how much of your household annual spending are you personally willing to contribute towards?
Was the cap that we just went over.
no, this is the
Well-
one section.
Yeah, but that's in the budget.
Oh, general.
Because we just,
And I think
that is slightly different.
what I was trying to get at here is trying to get away from the numbers, are you willing to spend $500? Are you
Right.
willing to spend $1,500? And kind of trying to make it more general.
For number 1?
Yeah,
on the
so,
left?
yeah, so I was trying to take like what we had on the left, which was, kind of very specific in terms of dollar amount, and trying to make it a little bit broader of a question to try to get at the sentiment of it rather than the actual dollar value. Does that make sense?
Brenda's got her hand up again.
Brenda?
It's 8:00.
Yeah, questions about that question.
Okay,
With that, above what we already have to pay on our tax bill, is this in addition to that?
Are you referring to the, this number 1A?
Yeah.
No.
No. number
What are you
one.
referring to?
He's referring to one that you were just asking us about.
With the numbers.
Number one.
Oh, the numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was just a question I got from somebody.
Okay.
So I don't know, I don't know the
That
answer.
was my question.
Yeah.
Is this beyond taxes?
I don't know. I don't know.
I would think it would be taxes.
And it really doesn't matter what you're willing to,
Right.
what your tax bill says you gotta
Yeah.
pay.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Right.
I thought it was a really weird question and shouldn't be on here.
Can we get thumbs down vote?
I mean,
Went by kook.
it's, I don't know.
If you look at number
Say
2,
that loud.
do you believe there should be a general cap placed on spending per child by the district? I think that is sort of the same question.
Except that
It's just
it,
not specific
K
to school
through
choice.
4.
It's
You
not
know.
specific to tuition.
Right, it's just
It's the whole thing.
total district.
Right.
Well, that's because there's, I think there's people getting at, you should be able to educate my child for $10,000 a year, or, you know, they want to
Yeah.
figure in
Yeah. I'm not sure that that's generally very helpful
that.
So-
in creating goals, right? I mean, what if people say, no, we don't want to spend, or we
Right.
do want to cap? You really don't have.
Isn't there some legislation that's either in process or through that would allow towns to place caps on the school budget?
I don't know. Let's
There-
ask the RSA man.
There was a bill proposed last year. Definitely didn't become law, and I don't know for sure if it just came out of committee inexpedient to legislate, which is how they say kill it, or if it went to further study. I think it's the former. I think it just got killed. That doesn't mean that it hasn't been submitted again this year.
Right.
There's like 850 bills that have been submitted, which apparently is not atypical. I have not read them all yet. I'm working my way through.
But school's a tough
You're
call.
doing better than some if you read all of them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to vote on something that I don't know. And if you're present at the State House, you have to vote.
Yeah.
There's no, I abstain.
So if there's
Yeah,
things
vote
like that
No,
that we don't have
apparently not.
control over,
Right.
you know, as a school, as a local school district, do you really have control over that? Or is that something more at the state level that, you know, get involved with call your representative?
Here's her number.
Right.
The question should be related to areas within the school district's control. We have that.
Yeah.
So
On the right-hand side, so I would like the district to create a committee to explore ways to make the budget more cost effective. Would that get at the kind of the heart of those other two questions? You're like another.
Sustainability committee, we've got a policy committee. We're trying to go.
Or maybe we take out the committee and just say, I would
We
like
will
the
be
district to
presenting
explore.
A budget at the next school board meeting. People are welcome to attend.
So that's the first budget review.
That will be on our next board meeting. The main agenda will be our budget. No changes. We're just adjusting costs. We can't find people to do what we want as it is.
Could that be an I am aware that the,
I could attend school board meetings. I'm interested in helping to, make suggestions regarding the budget.
What if we made it just, this might get at a couple of the items on the left, but something that just said, like a select one, with respect to the school budget in Croydon, do you A, think the district doesn't spend enough, B, the school district spends an appropriate amount, or C, the district spends too much? Just gauge where people are at.
Yeah, that's a good way.
and then it's not so messy or awkward or.
Yeah,
Maybe underneath then, please explain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because one of the items on the left was how would you suggest cutting the budget? So if they say we spend too much, where are you gonna trim?
Yeah.
Right.
How about a show of hands for what you just suggested, Aaron?
Thumbs up.
A question on it should be, is there an opportunity for input? Do you feel like you have an opportunity to contribute or to be heard
Yeah.
in the budget process? I mean, we don't have, because we are so small, we don't have a lot of budget meetings. We'll probably have 2 or 3 before it's finalized.
Right.
And then we have a hearing. It may not be sufficient for folks. I don't know.
And I do
8 p.m.
think there, and I'm not sure if this is in here, there is still an issue of publicizing the meetings. They are publicly posted on the school and at the town hall, but our town website does not appear to have any meetings noted on it. It has a blank calendar, and so,
The school one or the town one?
No,
The
she
town
gets them.
one
She gets
is
a copy.
coming and getting permission. He's working on it this week.
Okay.
So as soon as I have the access, it will be updated.
someone's gonna buy you a celebratory drink when that happens.
It's coming. I
So
promise.
maybe this is 2 questions. Maybe this is the one that Aaron just described about, select on the school, relating to the school budget. Do you feel that the school spends enough, appropriate amount, too much? Please explain.
School district.
School district. So can we have a thumbs on that?
Do you think the school district pays too much, just right, not enough? Explain.
I don't care.
You're sideways on that one?
Do you have a way to improve it?
Nicole or Brenda?
Thumbs up.
Nicole, are you there? It sounds like.
You
a-
should.
Right here,
Okay.
look at myself.
She said she was tired of looking at herself.
Are you a thumbs up on that one?
I know
Aaron
that
just
feeling.
proposed? Did you hear that one?
Yeah, I totally read. My only thought was, I wonder if some people think that we might spend a little bit too much, whereas some people have strong feelings of a lot of it too much. But I didn't know how to word it, so I let it go with it.
Way too much.
Well, you could make all 3 of them on that same gradient.
Right, so
If you
a
wanted to.
couple of in-betweens.
Where are
5
you putting
choices,
this
way too
Maybe-
much.
maybe
Or, yeah, maybe,
Just-
Where is this question going? Where is this?
Under budget.
But
I'm saying, well, you tell me. I'm thinking that it's taking the place of that one on the right,
which one on the right?
with regard to the budget.
yeah.
Oh, how do you?
The one about the
cutting
committee?
Budget?
Can I make a suggestion?
No,
It's got,
the one on the general cap and.
And,
Go ahead.
Okay.
What if you did it kind of like a line graph, as in not enough, too much, and just right in the middle and just let them mark it? Is that possible?
that's a good idea.
Well, it would be a multiple choice,
Nice.
Yeah.
unless you wanted
Well,
to.
I think he's sort of saying the same thing Amanda was, is instead of there being 3 choices, maybe there's 5.
Okay.
And it's way too much, a little bit too much.
I mean,
Right now.
what I was saying, you would basically have to look at every one to kind of get a base of what people thought. So I guess that's not necessarily the best idea. But I was saying, if you just put it linear, and had not enough spent on one end, way too much spent on the other, and then just let them mark where they think they're spending it, somewhere along that line.
Do we have space in there too, to say, I would be, we had more state aid coming our way?
Hmm.
If there was different funding
I think most folks.
But isn't that again out of,
That's a whole separate question.
Nicole has, we missed you, Nicole, didn't hear.
Sorry, Nicole.
I didn't realize people were talking, so my apologies. You were just mentioning that 5-point scale, and the word that came to my mind was significantly. Like the district paid, spends significantly too much, or the amount, and then, you know, a little more than I'm comfortable with. I'm comfortable with the amount that I spent, whatever, but, I don't know, the word, like, I'm trying to think of a word that you could use besides far too much.
Well, yeah.
Slightly.
How about strongly,
Slightly and significantly.
Yeah,
Slightly less, slightly
yeah.
more, significantly less, significantly more.
yeah.
So not enough, appropriate amount.
Well, I would, yeah, maybe significantly too little.
So rather than not enough.
Because we're trying to create some gradients here, right?
Yep.
Significantly not enough. Somewhat not enough. And you've got your appropriate amount, and then the same thing on the other end. Somewhat too much and significantly too much.
That's lovely, thank you.
The English teacher in me likes significantly too little better than significantly not enough. Just throw it out.
Got it.
Do it.
Significantly
Too
too
little
little.
and somewhat too little.
Did you see Nicole?
Late, okay. And then, are you happy with the rest of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Consistency.
No, we've got it. We've got it.
Yeah,
I like this because
Stop
it's sort of in line with our other scales.
yeah. And then Frank said, do you feel like you have an opportunity to be heard in the budget process?
Yeah.
I think that's,
Strongly agree.
yeah, yeah.
But going back to number 2, were we going to add commentary?
Oh, yes, sure.
Mhm.
Should I do other and then please explain?
I don't think other is necessary. I would,
Comments,
right.
you know?
Yeah,
Or it
well,
could
you,
be-
you can write like 2 lines, right? Not a big paragraph.
Yeah, we can do short answer.
Because otherwise
Right.
we're gonna be-
Although, I mean, paper can go out and they can write an essay if they
Yeah,
want.
yeah,
It could
yeah.
just be not a like third question. Do you have specific comments related to
Number
our
2.
budget?
Oh, that's good. F on 2. What about the question about having the opportunity to be heard in the budget process?
Yeah, I think that's a good one.
Maybe that could be C under number 1.
Yeah,
We're keeping creative committee?
oh, right. I think
And
we're
general ed?
Oh.
I think we're-
Go away.
talking about making that
Put this
go
one
away.
away.
Yeah, all of
What?
number 1, or?
Well, what do you think?
A was gonna get taken away.
Yeah.
B, I don't know that we really talked through so much.
Well, that was where we were saying, that was what brought Frank's suggestion about whether people feel like they have a voice. Is do we really need another committee? Like,
Right.
if you look at who
If you're-
shows up to meetings.
Yeah, if you're part of the
Are they
process,
gonna come to a committee if they don't even come to meetings?
right?
And it'd be the same group that comes to the budget hearings.
Right.
So would it be kind of get at that same piece by phrasing it in a separate question? Do you feel like you have an opportunity to? Yeah.
Yeah,
So is 1 going away altogether?
I think so.
The only advantage to A that I could see is that you would at least have a group of people that were tasked with the specific function of trying to find some ways of making the budget better. Because there's nobody that's their job.
Yeah.
Maybe you get some good ideas out of it, I don't know.
What if we took out to create a committee and said, I would like the district to explore ways to make the budget more cost effective?
Sure.
The district could decide whether to create a committee, but it's not asking for a committee. I mean, a lot of towns do have a municipal finance committee that reviews both the town budget and the school budget.
Yeah.
And you see on their warrants, like on the school warrant, the school committee recommended thus and so, and budget
Right.
committee does or does not support
Yeah. Budget advisory.
various
committee.
aspects of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, BAC.
Yeah.
But you have to have people who are willing to do
The
that.
trouble is that people aren't very well liked that are on that committee
It's not a charming task.
Well,
because
they don't, I mean,
every budget can be cut. Every single budget can be cut.
And there are consequences.
Exactly.
it's not like the committee would have any real say over whether their suggestions get taken.
Right.
It would still be up to the school board.
Suggestions.
Brenda?
I would think you would find people that get on that.
They just would be suggestions. Nothing written in stone.
I guess, what we're really getting at is what do the stakeholders feel about creating a committee or not creating a committee to explore? What do they feel about exploring ways to cut the budget? I think that's really the question.
Right. I think everybody will say yes to that.
I
Right?
was thinking the
Like,
same exact
I
thing.
mean, is it
So-
really,
They're not gonna.
I don't know
step
if it's a
up and
useful
be on.
question,
right,
but this
Right.
one's a little bit more concrete. You can sort of
create a
get your
committee?
brain around it and
Well, maybe B could be, would you be willing to be on it?
Yeah.
And
Would you
C,
be-
put your name.
And see, who would you recommend?
yeah, right. I think you would find people, but.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask the question. I think the only kind of negative side of including too many questions is
The link.
people are just going to get worn out if we
Yeah.
have so many questions.
Well, we've cut a few.
Yeah, we have. We have.
This could be one that gets chopped, I guess, later if we're feeling like
Okay.
it's too heavy.
In the
I mean,
meantime,
likewise, I'm not married to
You
that
could
question. I
ask
Yeah.
guess.
that question when we have the meeting.
But the public meeting is after the survey goes out, isn't it?
Right,
Right, aren't we supposed to have the results for the public
we
meeting?
are.
yeah,
Yes.
Tight timeline.
Plainfield has a town finance committee, advisory only. But at the end of each general session, the moderator asks for people to volunteer if they would like to be on that committee for the next year. And they look at, they come to budget meetings, school board meetings, they come to town board meetings, they work on the budget. They have their own meetings and digest all that. And then they send recommendations to both groups. So we might want to, rather than we set it up as a school thing, let it be a committee for the town
Mhm.
to advise everybody, that
so
way,
So then the question is,
yeah, it works really well.
so then the
People
question is,
change
should the
their view
town
on
have?
something.
or should, rather than district put in,
Yeah,
I would like the town to create a budgeted or a committee to explore ways to cut town and school budgets or advise on.
I think when we say to cut,
We're
we're
slanting it, you're right.
Yeah, we're
Yep.
making a direction where we ought to
Yep.
say to advise regarding budget.
Yep.
Because we kind of know we'd like to. advise if we can.
Right.
I like that.
What do we think? Thumbs? Everybody looks good on that. So I would like the town to create a committee to advise on the budget. On the budget for
I would
the
say
town
to
and
advise on the
school.
cost effectiveness of the town and school district budget.
Of the entire town.
on the budget's cost effectiveness. To advise on the cost effectiveness of the town and school budgets.
I think that works.
And then we could take 3. Or I'm sorry, we could take 4 and put it up into as 1B.
Well,
Or